Welcome to Tales, Tunes, and Tomfoolery, starring Jerry Springer, along with Gene Galvin and me. I'm Megan Hills. We're recorded live in front of a brilliant studio audience at the Folk School Coffee Parlor in Ludlow, Kentucky. And now, here's Jerry Springer.
Oh, thank you. Megan, last week after we finished the podcast, we went to where
we went to the Taft. We went down to the Taft and we saw.
But it was like in the basement.
It was in the basement. Yeah, it was in the smaller ballroom, and we saw Spirit Family Reunion, and they were amazing. What did you think, Gene?
I love them, and let's help them by sort of describing where they're from. They're from Brooklyn, New York, and you grew up in Queens. So they were, did you know those guys back when you were in school? Or
keep in mind, these guys were like 25
maybe
at most.
Maybe you knew their grandparents?
They were. My great-great-great-grandkids might know them. Yes. Honestly, they knocked my socks off.
The energy that they had on stage was incredible.
In fact, they had, and Jerry, as I was listening to them, and I don't know if you thought the same thing, but in the 60s when you and I, we were both in folk groups. I was in a folk trio, you were in a folk duo. You played at Mahogany Hall in Mount Adams, a neighborhood of Cincinnati, made some money doing it, and tips is
that he had to give back at the end of the night.
Yeah, probably.
The best tip I got was try something else. But that was
I kind of knew that was coming, you know, as soon as you said it. But we, the groups were stand-up basses, guitars, clawhammer banjo, a mandolin, etc. And sure enough, there was a clawhammer banjo. There is in Spirit Family Reunion. A fierce, petite young woman who
Maggie.
was just killing it. Maggie.
She was crushing it, yeah.
And they had washboard and stand-up bass, guitar, dobro guitar. So instruments that we knew from back in the day, but yet their performance in the
content of the music was amazing. It's, you know, now admittedly, generationally, I'm kind of lost. I mean, there was no one within 50 years.
Oh my God. So I was 10 years older than everybody in that room. So you guys kind of stood out a little
Megan,
bit.
What do you mean?
As you watch, because
there were no chairs.
There were no chairs.
It's a concert, Jerry. It's
a concert. Well, do you normally, if I go to a concert, I get to sit?
Get like seat row 2.
Everyone's
well, you would be row 1.
They're bouncing and they're jumping.
And watching him watch this show was probably the most entertaining part of the evening.
Wait, was he doing like the hand jive or something?
Kind of like doing this and his rocking back and forth thing, and then he was doing his fist pumping. It was great.
Really getting into it. And when I broke into the twist, they were excellent.
They fit exactly what
he
we're
had
doing.
A voice like, I mean, I kind of felt like I was listening to Springsteen, and yet the message was more Bob Dylan.
Yeah. It was very upbeat, very happy message.
Great, great.
And he was not bad to look at. I'll just throw that out there. Just saying.
Yeah, so now you're stalking him.
Just, you know, I have to have a hobby, Gene. I have to have a hobby.
I have socks.
I got to tell you, Jerry, I watched your TV show today.
Why?
I don't know. To be honest, I don't know, because look. Well, I don't have much of a life. I come
where's
down
that
here.
buzzer?
Yeah, where is that thing? But I come down here, as you guys know, on the Ludlow City bus. I drive a 1983 Plymouth Reliant. Long story short,
is there a Ludlow City bus?
There is. So I take it from my home down here, and it happened tonight. I get off the bus. You pull up in your Bentley. She's driving she's got her big girl job now. Megan used to be fun when she was like, you know, maybe smoking a little weed and bartending and all that. And now she's got her big master's degree. So she comes in like an Acura luxury car. Let's
be honest. And you came on a bus.
Yeah, because my
is that where like a lot of people sit?
Yeah, you pay $1.
It's like a plane, but it's on a road, so you can get more than one person. I know you only ride the plane with one.
There are a lot of people on the plane.
Well, I guess I know. Not in your case. Never mind. Wrong
not on a Gulfstream.
There's no one.
Not on a Gulfstream.
No, there's no one.
It's so obnoxious, a Gulfstream.
Well, sometimes Mickey comes
our
with me.
mutual friend Lewis, who's here tonight, who has like 15 planes. I think he's a billionaire. I think you're a millionaire. She's a thousandaire. I'm a hundredaire. I got a couple $100 in the bank. You probably have a few $1,000 in the bank.
Yeah.
And $12 in your wallet.
Well, yeah. But I watched your
TV
TV show. Yeah. No, I watched your TV show.
Oh, what?
And I sat there after watching it. Now let's stop the joking, because we joke some. But I looked at that TV show, and I
it was a good one,
came close.
It?
Well,
yeah, that second segment was something. That was great.
He was messing with his wife's best friend, Honey Bun. And your best line was, "Oh, you don't call her an English muffin?" And everybody goes crazy. But do you remember that episode? They all run together to you, don't they?
They all kind of run together.
Here's what I don't.
We had a young
We
lady.
can talk about an important one now. That
Yeah,
you
the
were
one where we had a young lady dance on a pole.
Yes.
The
and-
one? You had a one lady?
And you know, people complained about it, and I kind of saw it. So the next day, we had her dance on the Czechoslovakian.
Now see, Jerry.
I'm telling you,
But I'm
it was great.
Let me throw down.
And I gotta tell you, that was a bumpier ride.
Yes. Could I throw down a challenge to you right
What?
now in front of America?
Clean it up.
Because we got to get some new material, Jerry. I've been hearing that. Let me throw down a
The
challenge.
joke
to you.
doesn't even make any sense because there's no Czechoslovakia anymore.
No, not anymore.
But you can't say
Croatia?
she danced on the Czech Republican.
Yeah.
I mean, who wants to dance on a Republican?
Oh, man.
No, I mean that in the kindest way. It wouldn't be fair to Republicans to be dancing on them.
Let me make a challenge to you.
Yes.
First of all, David Pruce, our technical director
Yes.
over there, Ambient Studios. Let's hear it for Ambient Studios. David, you could you not bring in a stand-up mic, correct?
Yes,
You could get a little wooden stool right next to it, correct?
absolutely.
Put a bottle of water on it. Now we've got something like, welcome to the Ludlow Comedy Factory, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Here's the challenge, Jerry Springer.
You didn't tell me.
You and I come in. I'll open for you.
Yeah.
I'll do 4 minutes. You do 8. And we come in with material that will make these people laugh, and the judge will be that pickup right over there, because if nobody's laughing, and Megan will be like 3 minutes in and he'll be done with his material.
Completely.
And keep it rolling. keep recording, right? Would you do that? I'll open for you, so I'll put some
I'll
skin
come
in the
out
game.
and I'll come out and I'll say, you know what my wife's favorite wine is?
What?
I want to go to Miami.
That's good. That's actually pretty good. I like that. Are you willing to do that? With the pledge, it's all new material. There's the pledge.
I'll have to check my schedule.
Yeah.
I'll have my people call your
Yeah.
people.
I have
He
no
is your
people.
people.
I have people who know people, but I have no. Yeah, that's
right.
I'm his people. That's true.
Yeah.
I'm his
Yeah,
people.
you're my
I'm his
pool
pool
boy.
boy. Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, just to wind this up, I saw your show and I just kept thinking, that's wrong. I swear, what you're doing, Jerry, that is wrong.
You don't
Morally
see, you don't-
contestable.
That's wrong,
It's
Megan.
awful.
You don't see
That's
the hope in
wrong.
that?
No. Hey, remember one time I was driving you in a political parade, and some guy, when you were mayor or something in Cincinnati, and some guy ran up and said, "Hey, Springer, I like your style." And then a little bit later, because I was trying to figure out when you got rich, because when we started, neither of us was rich, and maybe we track it by the cars you had. What did you have, like a Studebaker Lark or something way back?
That was my first car.
And then you had a Fiat 850, I recall.
Yeah,
was somewhere in there.
It was beautiful, but it was like tin. You could, I mean,
Yeah.
it was, you could.
And
sit
then there
up.
was a day, it was and here's how he said it, a Jaguar. I said it's a Jaguar. No, it's a Jaguar. That's how he said it. It was very important to him that
That's
it was
how
said
you know
Jaguar.
it's
No,
good.
I
That's how you
said
know.
are Jag. That's what I said.
And then it became a Bentley. And now
Well,
there's a
what is
Maserati.
this about?
Well,
What if the IRS is listening?
because,
They're not.
oh my God, they don't know about any of those.
No, they think I live in Ludlow.
Hey, let's
that
get
mean?
serious. No, I don't know. Yeah, what the hell does that mean? I live in Ludlow.
Oh, wait a second. Gene does
We live
live
in Ludlow. Hey, if anybody's
We do
hearing
love
this,
it. This
you've
is
got to
great.
Yeah.
come to Ludlow. Seriously, Ludlow, Kentucky
Yep.
is such a cool place, going through this wonderful renaissance. And the Folk School Coffee Parlor is double cool.
Yes,
this
it is.
place
Yes, it is.
just so neat. We love this place.
And they've been so kind to let us come in here every week and
Yep.
take up their space, and it's been fantastic. They're
this
great.
is
a larger
wonderful
airport.
place. Yeah, right. Hey, get serious for a minute. You have been, as we've been friends for all these years, and you have been, and I don't know if listeners know this, a city council member in Cincinnati, the mayor of Cincinnati, major news anchor, and there is something going on in America that I frankly feel is disturbing, and I'm betting you do too. And we're talking about incidents that range from April 2001, Cincinnati, Ohio, Timothy Thomas, shot dead in an alley in a place called Over the Rhine. Cincinnati exploded for a week. International news media came in and witnessed it. A similar thing has happened in Baltimore, Maryland. It's happened in Ferguson, Missouri. It's not an isolated incident, is it, Jerry? What in the heck is going on? How do you see it as an astute political analyst? And along the way, maybe what thoughts do you have on what we can do about it?
Well, there's an old saying about, let's say in a marriage and husband and wife are arguing, the thing you tell the husband is what your wife is yelling at you about is not what she's really angry about. And so don't get involved in the details of that argument. It's a bigger issue. Something is bothering. And when I look at this issue, which has, by the way, in our life, has gone on forever. I mean, have we forgotten the 60s, the burning down of the cities in the 60s?
How did you arrive in Cincinnati? The first time you drove into Cincinnati?
Actually, that is true. I came to Cincinnati on June 11th, 1967 for the first time. It was, I had a summer internship with a law firm here from Northwestern. And I arrived in town on that Sunday night. And everything I owned was in this little Studebaker law because I was driving into Cincinnati, and I had never been to Cincinnati. To be honest, I hadn't heard much about it. I knew they lost to the Yankees in '61, but I didn't know much about it. And I saw a sign there on the expressway that said University of Cincinnati. So I figured, because this was a Sunday and Monday I was going to start with the law firm, I would stop off around the university, talk to some kids, and find a place to live, to stay. And so I went down this one street right around the University of Cincinnati, and they had a whole bunch of bars there, typical college neighborhood. And there was this one bar at the time called Duff's. And I go into Duff's. It's about 7 o'clock in the evening, and everyone is hanging around the bar. They're looking at a television set. And I don't know what's going on. And so I go up to the bartender, and I say, I just arrived in town. I'm looking for a place to stay, to live. Any place I can look, find a place around here on campus. And he says, I'm sorry, because everyone was looking at the TV set. On the TV was Mayor Bachrach. He was the mayor of Cincinnati at the time. And he was declaring a curfew. And he says, I'm sorry, there's curfew. We got to shut the bar. Everyone's got to get out. So everyone started piling out. And I got back in my car. But if you've never come into a city, you don't know how to get out of it. So I continued down the road and then made a left on what then was Reading Road. And I drove right into the riots. Wow. And the police came over and told me to pull over. And the guy said, turn off the ignition and get underneath the wheel. And I lived my whole, except for the first 5 years of my life, I grew up in New York. I never even got pushed into the bushes. And now I come to Cincinnati, Ohio, and there's a riot. If they didn't want to give me a job at the law firm, don't riot about it. But anyway, so there was a riot, and it got pretty ugly.
1968?
1967. You can look it up, June 11th, 1967. I later moved back here in 69, but this was just the summer internship. So anyway, that's how I got there. I mentioned that, and you mentioned some of these other police incidents, the riots in Baltimore, in Ferguson. And what do I have to add to it that hasn't already been said? Except here's my take. Instead, I'm not going to get involved in the argument about what a police officer did and what was he thinking and what did the kid do and the mistreatment and who, that there's the bigger issue. And the issue is, and I promise you this is ultimately going to happen. Initially the National Guard will come in, peace will be restored, there'll be curfews and all that. And maybe there'll be a few more swimming pools and a community center, and they'll throw some money at it initially. And then we're all going to go on our merry way. And the reason you have the same issue today as you had in 1967 and through the 70s and through the 80s and through the 90s and it won't stop, is because as a society, when you talk about race, it's such an electric term, but it's not that most whites are going around today, oh, I hate black people. Are there some that have that feeling? Yeah, but that's not what's going on. We have an African-American president. So it's not, you go up to people and say, I don't hate black people. Why are we having all this trouble? We just don't particularly care that much. I mean, look how we build our cities. We build our cities with interstates that literally take you from your job in the office building downtown. You go down to the underground garage, get in your car. Within 2 blocks, you're on the interstate going around the inner cities and out into the suburbs, and we never think about it. We never see it. It's not part of our problem. As long as we don't have to deal with issues of housing, with issues of poverty, with issues of the schools, with everything that people growing up in an inner city, most of them, some get out, some are exceptional, some got lucky, whatever. But most of them, look at this figure. If you take all the white people in America between the ages of 18 and 54, there are almost the exact same number of men and women. If you take all the black people in America between the ages of 18 and 54 that are around to be involved in a civil society, for every 100 black women, there are 83 black males. What happened to the other 17? And the answer is they're either not alive anymore or they're in prison. That is a reality that in our inner cities, more and more people are growing up where they don't have a family at home in terms of mom and dad. So you have more illegitimate children being born. I mean, what I mean by that, a child born, no one's illegitimate, a child born out of wedlock. You have more of those, therefore you have a higher degree of poverty, you have less education going on, less role models, you have more crime, all these things. Well, you go generation after generation, literally doing very little about that. I mean, the other podcast, we're talking about minimum wage. We fight every effort to do something substantive about that, and we fight it. We fight the taxes that maybe would pay for better schools or better housing. We fight the minimum wage. We fight Obamacare. Oh my gosh. Really? People are going to be able to get health insurance? Everything that could possibly make life a little more bearable for these kids growing up in tough situations where everyone lives on top of each other and very few people there have jobs and they're not male role models. All this stuff. And no one wants to hear about it because right now, we just want to hear about why did he shoot the gun and I'm scared to walk the streets and we're in this neighborhood, put the lockdown on your car. We're not dealing with it. We're going to have a court decide what to do with this police officer. The poor family has to bury their son. You know, we're going to have all the speeches about that. And then I promise you in 6 months, we're right back to nobody giving a damn about it. And our politics is horrible because no one wants to really talk about that unless there's a crisis. That's not on the agenda. Can you imagine someone running for president that says, you know what, I really want to do something about poverty in America. That's going to be the #1 issue. You know, everything now is, well, we're going to make it we're going to get a little tax break here and we're going to have, it's all these little details. That's what I think, that's my take on what's happening now. We've been through it before. I've seen this movie.
All right, thanks, Jerry. Good thoughts. Let's talk about some music. This is exciting because Mike June is here, and Mike June is from Austin, Texas, and he's out on a 5-week tour, and we're very happy, Mike, that you stopped by the Folk School Coffee Parlor in Ludlow, Kentucky, and to participate in the Jerry Springer podcast. Your current album is Talking Revolution Blues. Do I have that right? So
you're talking revolution. Okay. I am not here. Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike, and then we'll chat about your song after you do it. Thanks.
Thank you. Well, I went to my job and they took it away. Yeah, my wife took the kids and she left the next day. She said, you ain't a man if you ain't getting paid. Yeah, I guess it's all love is worth these days. And all I can give is less than they'll take. And they foreclosed on my house and I got nowhere to stay. And my friends and neighbors are all feeling the way. It's like every conversation seems to end the same way. You put food on the table and gas in the tank. Pay off the debt you owe to the bank. You try to swim in this shit, you're already sank. These are hard times. Oh, hard times. Oh, hard times we're living in. We're living in. Well, I went looking for work down in Caroline, in this town called Franklin near the Tennessee line. Yeah, the pawn shop was closed, there was nothing to buy. Like the whole damn town was on the welfare line. And I'm talking to this old man, he was a veteran of the war, telling me stories about how life was before. He said that fucker in the White House is a socialist whore. Yeah, and I don't believe in hope and change anymore. And I said the rich get rich and the poor get poor. They line them all up and they send them off to war. Nobody knows what we're fighting for. These are hard times. Oh, hard times. Oh, hard times we're living in. We're living in. Hard times, oh, hard times. Don't you know these are hard times we're living in? We're living in. Now I'm working 2 jobs just to pay my rent. Take comfort in the few I can call my friends. One thing about life, you never know how it ends. Better take what you can get and give what you can. There are families out there that are sleeping in their cars. Yeah, innocent men behind prison bars. Criminals in suits driving luxury cars. Yeah, we better turn around before we've gone too far. 'Cause I looked to God, I couldn't find His face. Looked to politicians and lost my faith. Tried to love and my heart it breaks. These are hard times. Oh, hard times. Don't you know these are hard times we're living in? Oh, hard times. Don't you know these are hard times? Don't you know these are hard times we're living in?
I was having flashbacks to remember that song, The Eve of Destruction?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Barry
I mean,
Maguire.
that was awesome. Talking Revolution Blues. And Mike coming down to the podcast tonight on a Ludlow City bus, I could relate. Coming in on a Gulfstream might be a little harder to the song.
My Gulfstream's in the shop. So.
Yeah, right.
I told you,
I agree
you don't
with you,
have
Jerry.
a runway.
That's outstanding. Tell us a little bit, first of all, about that song, when you did it and how it came about.
Well, that song particularly, and you know, I had made 3 records already, just like, you know, typical love songs, whatever. And I started touring a lot in 2008, 2009, right during the recession, when it hit really bad. And I live in Austin, Texas these days. I'm from New Jersey originally. But, you know, Austin at the time had like this bubble on it. People were moving there and still are, because there were a lot of jobs. So we kind of, I guess, inoculated to what was going on in the country. And then you start driving out and, you know, I'm not on a tour bus playing arenas. I'm playing in people's living rooms in small towns, driving myself. And you really get to see a lot of things going on. I actually edited myself in that song because that song started with, I was in this town of Franklin, North Carolina. And this is a town at the time, all the stores were closed. The pawn shop was out of business. Yeah. And that means everybody pawned everything they owned, and then nobody could buy it. So like that's how bad things were. And of course I'm talking to this older man, and he has this like little World War II veteran's cap on. And I'm asking him what happened to the town, because I guess there used to be textile factories there and stuff back in the day. And of course you know who he blamed, and used the N-word, of course. And you know, it just, I travel around this country a lot. I think I get to see a lot of things that people don't see. I play in small towns, big towns. I've played in the living room of a guy in Pecos, Texas, who sells his water to fracking companies. And then 2 weeks later, I'll be in the living room of a guy who owns an art gallery in San Francisco. Yeah. So I really get to see both sides of it. And you know, I'm just trying to be out there reporting what I see.
You help us. Thank you for coming and being part of what we're doing here. And we're anxious to let more people know about what you're doing. Can you take us out on the old Hootie Ledbetter song, Irene Goodnight?
Oh, wait, let me get the words.
Me too. You want to borrow mine, Jerry?
No.
He needs the large print. He can't see.
I was in the Days in Indianapolis last night. Like,
That's fantastic.
thank you so much. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. I'll see you in my dreams.
You've been listening to Tales, Tunes, and Tomfoolery, sponsored by the Folk School Coffee Parlor in Ludlow, Kentucky. Thanks to Patrick Kennedy for writing our opening song, and to you for listening. Hope to see y'all again real soon.
Now me and the wife have parted. We're gonna take a stroll downtown. Irene, good night. Irene, good night. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. I'll see you in my dreams.
Now this is everyone's favorite part. Sometimes I live in the country. Sometimes I live in town. Sometimes I take a great notion to jump in the river and drown.